fun for me today to be here with Ashley Trout. For many of our followers, they may remember way back in 2020, PC, pre-COVID, we talked with Ashley by phone, but we're here in person. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Great, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, great, thank you. And it's nice to see your lovely smile. It's very cool. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. Specifically, we're going to talk about Vital Wines, but I just want to cover a little bit of background about you. And just a moment ago, we were talking, and I asked about where you're from originally. You said you're from Washington, D.C. originally.
Born and raised.
How long did you live there?
I lived there till I was 17. I went to college far away. When I finished high school, I left.
Where did you go to school?
I went to a place called Georgetown Day School in Northwest D.C., next to the Friendship Heights metro station. On the Red Line.
Oh, cool. So you kind of got to know that a little bit, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's my place. That's my home.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know, I've lived away from D.C. much longer than I lived in D.C., but there really is something about that 0 to 18. I mean, I'm not saying anything revolutionary here, but it just is surprising to me how timing matters.
I want to kind of go back over a little bit the moment when the snake called wine came up and bit you and got you to go down this merry path of both happiness and insanity. When did that happen with you?
Yeah, it happened in reverse order in a way. So I was from D.C., and in D.C. you don't have a lot of ag jobs. You don't have a lot of seasonal jobs that are affected by the weather in any way. And so when I went to college, which was in Walla Walla, Washington, I went to Whitman College, a liberal arts college in Walla Walla. I wasn't thinking about wine at all, but I saw an opportunity to work at a winery, which really was just like a glorified workout every night. I was supposed to mix up the bins of wine late at night. And I thought, well, that's not a real job. That's not a job I'm going to go do when I'm a grown-up. And I'm certainly going to not be in an agricultural community when I'm an adult. And so when in Rome, I should do this. This will be a fun part-time job. So I started a week after I moved out of D.C., I started working at this winery, Reininger Winery, run by the most wonderful people in the whole world, Chuck Reininger and his family. And wound up working for Reininger for 7 years. Wound up never not doing wine after that. But what really bit me was I went through college, I finished, and I had this part-time job throughout college, which really turned into a full-time job, but I still wasn't thinking that was going to be my career because how many people are winemakers? Like no one, right? And so that wasn't realistic. And then I had a really bad rock climbing accident, and I broke everything, and I missed harvest recouping that year. And I was looking around, this would have been my 5th harvest, and I was looking around, and it struck me how totally inappropriate it was that harvest was happening, and I was not part of it. That was the surprise. And so once I realized how much it had caught up with me and how much this was my identity and this was my profession and this was my hobby and this was my joy and these were my habits, then I doubled down and started going down to Argentina. I kind of got my body back as the southern hemisphere was going to do their harvest. So I went down because I was so bored. Like physical therapy for that long is very boring. And so I went down that February to Argentina and kind of knocked on some doors, and the rest is history. I wound up doing 8 harvests there, and then I started my own label in order to keep going down to Argentina called Flying Trout in 2004, and then started Brook and Bull and Vital in 2016.
Well, as we sit in the Barking Frog, which is where we are, by the way, I should mention to our listeners, we are in a busy restaurant, and it's pre-lunch, a lot busier than I expected it to be. But very kind of the Washington Wine Commission to set us up here.
Yeah, it's a great spot. The Barking Frog's delicious.
And the food ain't bad. Now, we were talking before that your husband's a winemaker as well.
Right.
And how long have you been married, if you don't mind me asking?
Shockingly, we've been married for 17 years.
Oh, my God.
I know. I never thought I would be married at all, and here I am. It's awesome.
And you said you had 2 kids that are in their teens.
2 kids. One's 12 and one's 14.
Is there interest at all in any way, shape, or form of what mom and dad do?
No. No, but there is, I think most importantly, and this is sort of the hill I will die on, there is a recognition of the morals and values surrounding things should be delicious, things should be quality, some things take time and effort. You should think about the minutia of life because there's a lot of it, and you could just go around, eating Pop-Tarts for 3 meals a day, or you could really enjoy what's going on with the seasons and with the effort and paying attention to your body and how it feels and moments with other people and long dinners and conversations that come with it. All of that, they understand the importance of. So to me, that if nothing else changes, we've aced it. That part's set.
Well, we should talk about wine because that's why we're here.
Let's do it.
All kinds of wine behind you. Now, we talked before about your label, Brook and Bull, but today we're going to talk about Vital, which I think is a really cool name as well because of the purpose of Vital. So tell me a little bit about that and how you started it.
Yes. So Vital is a nonprofit winery. It's a 501c3 whose mission is to improve equity and access to health care for vineyard workers and their families. And I started that because I, oddly enough, grew up in a bilingual, bicultural household, which was also why I could scooch over to Argentina and just get going. I grew up in a Spanish-speaking household, and my brother and I remember we would do the translating in the grocery store or the post office or the bank or the hospital or the whatever. And this happens so often with immigrant communities where you've got the grandparents are taking care of the grandkids while that middle generation is off making money throughout the day to the best of their abilities. And I just remember thinking it was sort of a load of crap that we had to do the translating in the hospital, right? The rest of it was fine, but there was this inhumanity, this sort of embarrassment and humility associated with the hospital piece because you've got these grandparents divulging embarrassing body parts that aren't working the right way in front of these kids who they are supposed to be in charge of and powerful for and responsible for and sort of a source of strength. And here we are doing the exact opposite. And as a kid, I remember thinking, kids aren't stupid. And they know that they have to get this translation right, but it's medical jargon and they're 7, right? And this happens with alarming frequency. I mean, every time I have told this spiel to a nurse or a doctor, I get 4 words into this story and they're like, they know. They've seen it. They've seen it over and over and over again. I'm not telling them anything new. And so when I came to Walla Walla, immediately, and it's not just Walla Walla, it is every agricultural community. It's not just wine. It's any ag community. What happens is you've got a lot of people doing physical work who often are monolingual Spanish speakers in the middle of nowhere with hospitals that are not inundated with bilingual doctors or bilingual nurses. And there's just two ships passing in the night, right? Just systems that don't function together. So you've got these hardworking people who are going to need medical help at some point, and then a hospital or a community or a system that's totally unprepared for that. And so it didn't take any mental translation for me at all to figure out that was precisely what was happening here. But it did take, that was 99, and it wasn't until 2016 that I started Vital, so it took 17 years for me to get enough cell phone numbers to kind of make it happen.
Yeah. With the label, is it the profits that are going to it? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So for Vital, we get pretty much everything donated. Grapes, corks, labels, bottling supplies, shipping, warehouse, winemaking, everything's donated. And then we sell these wines to our wine club, on our website, to distributors in grocery stores throughout Washington State. And then all of the profits from those sales, as well as some grant funding and personal donations, private donors, all of those funds go to our mission. So within our mission, we've got small programs and big programs, but even the small programs have just massive ripple effects. So one of the smaller programs we've got going on is free prescription eye exams and eyeglasses for vineyard workers and their children.
Wow.
87% of immigrants in Washington State in ag don't have health insurance at all. And then we just did a fair where that vineyard did provide health insurance for their workers and found that even then the co-pays were so high that the vineyard workers weren't even using the insurance, even though they had it, right? So it's a tough system that we're all locked into here. So the eye exams are great, and then we've also got sick pay for up to 10 days for a vineyard worker who doesn't yet qualify for sick pay for whatever reason, right? Either it doesn't exist at all in that vineyard, or it does, but only if you've been working there for a certain period of time. So one of the big programs that we're rolling out right now with Vital is the Community Health Advocate Program. And what that is these are people who are bridges to hospitals that already exist. And what I mean by that is if you're a vineyard worker and you have a broken thumb or diabetes or whatever it is, you don't know which local clinic or hospital to go to. And so, and then beyond that, you don't know if somebody's going to speak Spanish or English. You don't know if it's free or expensive. You don't know if it's 5 minutes or 3 hours. You don't know if you need to be insured or not. You don't know if you need to make an appointment or if it's first come, first served. So you get through the litany of unknowns and you then don't go deal with it because that's too many unknowns.
Yeah.
And so these community health advocates will go visit vineyards. And our goal is to have one in every wine growing region in Washington State and say, what's your deal? Do you have a broken thumb or do you have arthritis? And then from that piece of information, from these individual conversations, they will say, oh, you should go to this hospital and I'll make the appointment. And they do speak Spanish or they don't, but we'll get you a translator. And so for pennies on the dollar, they unlock hospitals and doctors and clinics and services. We don't need to build a hospital. We just need to provide this bridge. And so that's our goal for the next 5 years, is to place community health advocates in every wine growing region in Washington State.
So does Vital have a tasting room?
Vital has a tasting room on 2nd Avenue in downtown Walla Walla, and it is run by all volunteers.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty sweet.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So is it one you can just go walk into? Do you need to make an appointment?
No. We're not exclusionary. That's exactly what we're here to do, is the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. And for our listeners who would like to learn about you and Vital and all your other fellow winemakers, what is your website?
www.vitalwinery.org or vitalwines.org.
Ashley, it's a lot of fun spending time with you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.